Howdy, folks. I'm a gilded American goldfinch, gleefully gliding over glassy goldfish ponds.
I'm Amber.
And here are more goldfish ponds for us to glide over, so that we can see all the glassy goldfishes in there. They're made of glass.
Well, I was thinking maybe more like it's glassy because of ice,
No.
but okay.
No. And here's some Reddit. Oh, and folks, Happy New Year's. If you can guess the category that we're doing now, I'll be impressed. Might I add that this is episode 1142, but if you reverse the 2 and the 4, then you get 24. Coincidence? I think not.
I'm so lost.
Because it's 2024.
Oh, that's clever.
It's like I planned it, except for I didn't plan it at all. Alright, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Telling My Husband That He Needs to Give Me Half of His Company If He Wants Me to Be a Housewife? My husband and I, both 35, have been married for 6 years, and we have 2 children together and 1 on the way. He said that he wanted me to be a housewife and to stop working. I was very disturbed by that, but he explained that it would be better for our family and children, since he can afford a very good living. After a few weeks of thinking this over, I told him that I would agree, but only if he gave me 1/2 of his company. He was surprised by this, but I explained further that the more I stay home, the less chance I would have of finding a well-paying job should we ever divorce, because I would have fewer merits, while he would still be working and making more money each year. So I want half of the company. If we never divorce, which is the goal of all marriages, then it wouldn't matter, but should it end, it would be the price of me staying home and raising our children so he could be less worried and stressed out. His words, that he would be less anxious and stressed out if he knew that they were with me rather than with strangers in a daycare or with nannies. When I told my friends, they called me a jerk. My best friend was angry and called me disgusting. So I am taken aback. But am I the jerk? Alright, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. It seems like this is something that OP's husband wants. OP's happy with her job and contented with things as they are. And so she needs to have protection if anything does go wrong in their relationship and good reason to leave a job she loves.
Yeah. Well, I think that's really what this boils down to, is she made an offer, he made an offer, and she made a counteroffer.
Mm-hmm.
And whether or not he accepts that counteroffer is up to him, or whether he makes another counteroffer, right?
Right, because he's the one who's upset with the idea of them going to daycare, being watched by nannies. So, like, at the end of the day, she can set whatever bar she wants. And I don't think it's even unreasonable to want to have something in case of divorce.
Oh, yeah, I don't think it's unreasonable. And also, OP isn't intending on getting divorced, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what happens when they go to school? Right? Is he going to expect her to homeschool them? Are they going to go to public school? They're eventually going to be out of the house at some point in time.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly I can understand, small children being in daycare can be worrying, or with a nanny could be worrying. But that's just the way it goes sometimes. Sometimes sometimes kids are going to be in the care of other people, and that's just part of life.
Right. I mean, I do think the husband should think long and hard and approach his fears about the situation, why he's so insistent on having OP stay home with them instead of having them be in the hands of trustworthy strangers.
Yeah, or OP's husband could hire someone to take over the company, and he could step down, and then he could take care of the kids full time.
Yeah, because it seems like, reading the comments, OP's husband wants a big family, 4 to 5 kids. OP's contented with the 3 they have.
Mm-hmm.
So it basically sounds like he wants someone to do all the kids and house stuff, and he doesn't want to have anyone helping them. And it's like, if this is your dream and your goal, because OP loves her job, she's never thought of being a housewife. My concern is, even if she's okay with it now, 5 years down the road, is she going to be happy that she left her job to raise children full time, or is she going to be missing the job she loves?
Yeah. Well, and then on top of that, when I read some of the comments here, they never talked about actually her being a stay-at-home mom or anything like that. That was never in the plans. And so he's kind of thrown this curveball at her, and she's actually given it thought, and she's given a compromise where she would be willing to do this. So I don't think that OP's in the wrong for asking. I don't think the husband's in the wrong for asking either, right? This is something that he's worried about. I think he's concerned about this. But also, he needs to accept that if he wants to do this, or if he wants OP to do this, then there has to be some kind of give and take on that end.
Right. Well, I also do think the husband should think long and hard about what he is asking, because
Hmm.
it sounds like he would have no interest in stepping down from his position to raise children.
Yeah.
And so why does he think it's fair to expect OP to do that?
Well, because he makes more money. And so just the logical flow of things, that it would make more sense for him to continue to work in
Well,
OP.
certainly there are like logistical reasons,
Yeah.
but I mean like set aside the financial aspect and just think like what would it be like to live a day in this life? Is
Yeah.
this a life that he would actually enjoy, or would it drive him up a wall?
Yeah, and I think that's actually a really important consideration for people, especially in relationships, is to put yourself in your partner's shoes and, view this from an empathetic point of view. Would he like this line of work? Would he enjoy this? Maybe he would, and maybe that's why he doesn't see any kind of problem with it. But maybe he doesn't really understand the level of work entailed with raising the kids either, right? He might have like a sugar coated view of how easy it is or whatnot, especially if he isn't actively involved with helping the kids. If he spends a lot of hours at work, then it might be one of these things where he just doesn't understand how much work it really is.
Well, and it seems like it might be that he's had to start picking up some slack, not like slack, you know what I mean, though, but like he's
Hmm.
actually had to start with two kids and a third on the way. He's had to start helping around the house now, and he can see that that's not going to be sustainable forever.
Yeah. But if he's making so much money, then they can hire somebody, right? And
Exactly, and that's the thing that it boils down to is like he's the one who's saying, "No, I don't want anyone else watching our kids. It has to be you."
yeah. So I think it's really short-sighted on his part in that respect. But also, I don't think that OP's ask here is unreasonable or out of this world or
Hmm.
anything like that. The reason why OP doesn't own half of the company right now is because he started the company before they got together. So it was a premarital asset. And she's worried that if she ends up in a bad situation, that she won't have any way of caring for herself or caring for the kids if
Hmm.
there's a divorce. And that's a legitimate concern, because not all marriages last, and you do have to consider the future. You have to view sometimes the world without the rose-colored glasses.
Yeah, well, especially if you are sacrificing a lot
Hmm.
to do what your partner wants. I mean, it doesn't sound like there's resentment yet, but if OP only wants three kids and ends up with five, if OP doesn't want to be a stay-at-home mom but ends up raising five kids full time,
Yeah.
there is a good chance that things could go south very quickly, and she does need to be prepared.
Yeah. And, there's also the mental health and whatnot
Hmm.
involved with raising so many kids. So again, like I said, I don't think anyone's in the wrong here. I don't think that anyone is being unreasonable. I think it's two people trying to work out problems in a reasonable way for once here. And I'm not vilifying anyone, which is a great start to the new year.
Although, I mean, OP's friends are definitely jerks here. I don't
Yeah,
understand
the
why they're
friends.
they're like, how dare you want protection in case of divorce? Like, are these actually her friends or
I
something?
don't
I don't even
know.
know.
I don't know, because you would think that their friends would be more supportive of them,
Hmm.
and maybe there's more details to the story that we aren't hearing, and that's why it's so hard for us to kind of like see why the friends think this way. But to me, it would make a lot of sense. I mean, I could see if OP was demanding right now, being like, he has to give me half of his company, no matter what.
Hmm.
That I could see as being like yeah, that's not really cool. He started this company before you were married. It's a premarital asset, but with this bargaining chip, I don't really see it being that big of a deal. And maybe like he can come back and say, well, if I give you 25% of the company, if anything were to ever happen, this is how much you would be supported, and if that seems reasonable and fair to you, then blah blah blah, right? So, and also it's a risk to her, because maybe the company goes nose up, right?
Hmm.
So she may still be in a bad position in like 10 years if, they get divorced and the company goes belly up or something like that. So it's not a risk-free situation. Ownership of a company isn't guaranteed. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Professional Bear 114 says, not the jerk. My ex wanted a housewife, and I stayed home, primarily because I had a medically fragile infant. He was so shocked by how the judge divided our property when he divorced me during a midlife crisis. He got the business and I got everything else, a home and a fully funded retirement. Most women in senior divorces end up in poverty. Never give up on your financial independence for a man. And OP replies, I'm glad that you got what you were owed. And, like, again, I don't think Professional Bear here initiated this divorce. It's not like she went out of her way to, divorce him. He had a midlife crisis, and that happens to people sometimes.
Well, and so often these men who make a lot of money do end up leaving their wives because there are attractive young women who are happy to be with someone with oodles of money. And
Yeah.
so it is very smart for the wives to make sure they're protected, because there's no guarantee that Opie's husband won't in 5 years be like, oh, I got the kids I want. Now I want the new model.
Yeah. And Jello Square says, sounds fair to me. What's the plan if he hesitates or refuses? And OP replies, then I don't quit my job. We wouldn't be the only working couple with 3 children. And Clearheaded 01 says, not the jerk. What was hubby's response to this? And OP replies that he will think about it. He was surprised because according to him, I never cared about money or talked about it. I don't even know how much he makes, other than he makes good living. I told him that it was different with 3 children to have responsibility for, and that I never cared before because I had my own income and safety. This is the first time someone tells me to 100% rely on them, and I felt naked. And I think that's a reasonable feeling. And I'm, again, like, these 2 people, they seem like they're adults and they actually talk about their problems. It's nice. It's refreshing, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Opening a Fake Gift During a Family Christmas Party? Every year, my family does Christmas at my mom's, and she insists that we open all of our presents together, even gifts between spouses, etc. It's normally an okay tradition, but sometimes it can spark jealousy or comparisons between families. Well, this year my husband saved up and bought me a Dream Designer handbag for Christmas. I know some people aren't into that, but it's something that I truly love. We're not well off, but we're not doing poorly either. But I knew that the handbag would cause a lot of discussion among my siblings and parents. I just didn't want their opinions and criticisms to ruin a special gift that my husband worked hard to get me. So this year, my husband got me an extra gift that wasn't a real gift, but it was a moderately priced skincare set. Christmas came and went without drama, but I recently posted a picture of my husband and our kids at dinner, and my handbag could be seen hanging off the back of my chair. One of my friends commented underneath about how gorgeous my Christmas gift was as well. Long story short, word got back to my family, and they totally blew up. Some were annoyed that I opened a private gift separately from the family. Others were criticizing the price of the gift. My siblings are now calling me disingenuous for harboring a secret gift, and they said that I did it because I think that I'm better than them. I didn't open it with them because I didn't want their opinions, but now I'm starting to feel like a jerk for keeping it a secret. I knew that either way they would all criticize me though, since it was so much more expensive than all the other gifts. So I don't know whether or not I was in the wrong. Alright folks, what do you think of this one?
No, I don't think OP's the jerk, but I think it's time to set a firm boundary with the family that spouse gifts are not going to be opened on Christmas. It's very, very common to have a separate celebration, just you and your partner, and then a big family thing later on.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily unreasonable to open like a gift, right? And maybe it could be still a tradition where everyone opens a singular gift with everyone else, as opposed to all of their gifts, right?
Well, I wasn't saying like that. I just mean like, so OP and her husband give each
Mm-hmm.
other gifts. Those are separate, so they can still do the family gifts,
Yeah.
like all together if they want to. But just the way the family is behaving, judging each other's gifts and all that nonsense, it's not appropriate. It's not good. And I think it's perfectly fine to set a boundary and be like, from here on out, my husband and I are going to open our own gifts at home because we don't like the way you snark on our gifts.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds kind of toxic, right? It sounds like a toxic family where they are very much about criticizing each other. It sounds like that they are really not about what the Christmas spirit is. It's not so much about what you get, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's about thought that counts a lot of times. And it sounds like to them, it's not the thought that counts. It's the price tag. It's all these other factors. And that's a really terrible environment to be in. And no one wants to open presents under the scrutiny of other people. And you know, it would be different if everyone was kind about it
Mm-hmm.
and like, oh, haha, let's just get together and have a good time. But this family dynamic really seems more about the money than anything, right?
Yeah, and tearing each other down, like, oh, how dare he buy you this thing? Like, not everyone is going to be in the exact same financial
Yeah.
circumstances. And I mean, if that's, I can understand why that might be frustrating to see someone get a designer bag if you can't afford that or your partner can't afford that. But that's why it's good to have these gifts separate.
Well, and that's also another point is that it's going to breed jealousy if you have huge differences in gifts, right? And I think that that's why it would be good to have like a separate family Christmas where you all have gifts that are under $20, or you do some kind of family swap, right? You know, a Yankee swap or a Yucky swap or
Yeah.
any kind of thing where you just have like a fun little game for gift giving or presents. That way, there isn't any jealousy, there isn't any of this, you know, gossiping type of stuff. And honestly, I can't blame OP for not wanting to open gifts with them because it sounds like they're just not nice people to open gifts around.
Mm-hmm.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time, but it's not really tea time. I'm a liar. It's coffee time.
For
Grab,
Brian.
grab your coffee of choice. I've got some coffee right here, and Amber, she has a coffee-related joke.
I do not.
Well, actually, she has a joke that will knock my socks off, folks.
I have two jokes. The first one will not, neither of them will knock your socks off, but
But she promised us sock knocking off jokes.
I
So
promised you good jokes, and I was gonna do on the live stream last night. But I thought of another timely joke I have to do today, so you're getting two jokes instead of one. Two
All
jokes
right.
for the price of one.
All right, two jokes.
What do cats say to ring in January 1st?
Oh, they say meowy Christmas.
January 1st?
Yeah, January 1st.
Do they say
Because they're not very good with time. Cats, they sleep through the days and the nights, and they think that by the time it gets to like January 1st, that it's actually Christmas, and it's really not. And so that's what they say.
Happy Mew Year?
Happy New Year, you know, that's a pretty good one. That's not the knock the socks off one, though.
No.
All right, now we're getting to the real joke, folks.
Why did the cats form a summoning circle?
Why did they... Well, I can only assume to summon something.
Because it was 5 minutes past their dinner time and there was no one home to feed them.
Oh, I see.
And the entire purpose of this show was just so I could use this picture.
Yeah, so Amber saw this picture here, and she's like, I have to include this. Was this one of the free ones?
Yeah, from Canva. It was in their image library.
And I have coffee. I think my socks are sufficiently knocked off. That was a good joke.
Why, thank you.
All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy New Year Monday. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it written in words in fireworks.
Comparison is the thief of joy.
You know, that would be a pretty elaborate fireworks setup, but it's a good moral nonetheless. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.
Howdy, folks. I'm Gilded American Goldfinch. Howdy, folks. I'm a Gilded American Goldfinch, gleefully gliding over glassy goldfish. Howdy, folks. I'm a Gilded American Goldfinch, gleefully Howdy, folks. I'm a Gilded American Goldfinch.